Good evening. Let's do a 15-minute discussion. Firing from the hip, not prepped, not outlined, not nothing. And of course, this is, my videos are pretty much my own psychological research of me, learning me, seeing me, my mannerisms and everything, the way I talk, how I don't talk, all that stuff. Also, it's kind of like my own video journaling. Hang on, let me put this up. So anyways, here's the state of my mind right now. It's the day is ending. It's headed towards 10 o'clock. My mind and my emotion power is spent for the day. You see, most of us, we go our whole lives when we don't realize there's probably, I want to say 1.5 to 2 hours to 4 hours max when a person first wakes up. Their mind is in it's like if they set this stage or get themselves in a certain position, it's like their creative state of mind is very, very powerful during those times. But most of us, we don't realize we have that creative frame of mind that happens. And you know why we don't know? Well, I'm sure there's many reasons. But the main part is because we go to work. We go to work. We go to work to make money, pay bills, do what we're supposed to do, right? To be responsible, to be a responsible adult. But the loss of that creative mind power during that time, it is so devastating. It is devastating. And the reason I say it's devastating, because a person can go all the way to the end of their lives and realize they used up their whole life and never tapped into that. Anyways, life is not all gloom and doom. Set that thought aside. You know, in music, playing guitar, when you play out of key, and it can be considered playing out of key. If you're doing it on purpose, that's considered a module, and therefore it's in its own key of its own. So anyways, there you go. Figure that one out. So now that we set that note about the creative mind and wasting all that mind power, that gift of being creators, co-creators of the spirit. Check this out. This is so trippy. I personally have been working on writing for a long time. Matter of fact, I think I've done it for like about 15 years before I realized that that's what I was doing. And that's what I love to do. Write. Pen and paper, pen and paper, pen and paper, pen and paper. I've done this for a very long time, but intentionally these past 7 years. But something bizarre has really happened in these past couple of years. And when I say by bizarre, it's almost like my writings have taken on a life of their own. And I say this because my stuff is coming out really cool. Yeah. Pat myself on the back. And it's effective, highly effective. And that's what's tripping me out. That's how I know it's not all me. It ain't. There ain't no way in hell. Ain't no way in hell. This is what I believe it is. It's the spirit of the universe. Okay, that spirit, that thing, that container, or whatever that is, that place of no beginning or no end. You know, the thing that's always been, it's eternal or forever, or whatever you want to call it. That, I think the spirit of that is constantly trying to bleed through our worlds and through our lives consistently, every single day, every moment. And it's trying to become something. But we never hear it because of all the noise and all the things we got going on and all the distractions we got going on in our lives. So we never even know it's happening because it's very subtle. It takes a lot of quiet time, solitude, meditation, and the deeper you can get with those, the better it is. See, this is what I honestly believe what we need to evolve into as a humanoid species, co-creators with this spirit, that spirit of the universe. See, it's constantly, this is what I think it is. And I'm really believing that this is probably it, is like my job with my writing, with the pen and paper, what I do. It's my job to figure out what it wants to be and how it wants to be shaped. Those are two things. Two, what it's wanting to be and how it wants to be shaped. That's my responsibility. That's my life in a nutshell right there. And the more I honor this thing, or the more I am aware of that, it's like I got these writings that keep coming out, and they just keep getting better and better and better. And it's so weird because I can't tell. It's like, is this real? Or is it just coming out of my imagination? Am I fucking tripping? Excuse my French, am I tripping? Because what I'm basically saying is God is writing through me, through my hands. Comes through this pen, through my heart, through my mind, through the ground, through my body, up through my heart and out through my mind, through the pen, through my fingers and onto the paper. And I try to figure out what it's wanting to be, what it's trying to be, and what it wants to be shaped like. Anyways, there's that, and it's so bizarre because it's like these past several months, I've came to a place in mind to where I'm not tripping on what people are saying. I listen to so many things on YouTube and these high performers and these people that are way up into the quarter billions and to the billions or whatever. And I know what they're saying is right and proper and absolutely true. But however, from this writer's point of view, this place, I already know I cannot allow myself to go jumping after this or jumping after that, or, oh, so-and-so said this. They can tell if your work is truly good because you'll be getting these X amount of results, or this or that's going to be happening. That takes my focus off of seeing what the spirit is wanting to be and how it wants to be shaped. I cannot let those two things be taken from me. Those are my absolute musts. And I guard that. And as I guard that, and I walk in that every day, and I just get more and more rest. You know, it used to be it actually hurt me there would actually be like a little sting in my heart, my mind, you know, because I'm a man, and you know, like women, that they prize themselves on their physical beauty, mostly, probably too much, and then us men, we like to try to prize our ego on money, which is perfectly fine, and it's perfectly fine about the beauty thing. But when it gets in the way to where it allows, when it's tripping us up to where, oh, we got to prove this to this person, oh, prove that to that person, or go do this or go do that, or, oh, they said this on that, so I got to act like that and prove that I'm doing this, or prove that I'm doing it that way, oh, prove this, prove that. Not good. I don't believe that. Not anymore. I'm not into that hustle culture. But that stuff is needed in certain areas, and that's how that kind of work needs. I'm just saying, for my kind of work, it's an absolute no-go. It is an absolute no-go. Now, once I get my work to a certain point, which is probably going to be after 2025, and this year, we're coming up we're in the third quarter of 2025, It was 7 years ago I wrote with a pen and paper precisely what I wanted to achieve in 7 years, and that I would have $27.9 million in my bank account by the close of 2025. Here we are. And I've got more debt than I've ever had in my life. I've got more bullshit IRS taxes getting ready to hammer me down just as soon as I'm done with this high interest debt that's kicking my ass. And you know what? It doesn't matter. It does not matter at that point, in that level of thinking. Because you know what? I'm not going to worry about getting good at being poor at those levels. And, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people that won't agree with that. Because it's a new economy we're fixing to step into. It's an economy. It's an economy of the heart and the mind. The subconscious programming and generational subconscious programming throughout the peoples. It's like, where are we going to be in 2060, 2050, 2040? Have you thought about it? Have you got a pen and paper and wrote out your life to that time, depending on what age? 10 years out, 20 years out, 30 years out after you die? Have you got a pen and paper and wrote out what you want to leave for your children and your children's children? Specifically, and the reasons why? Because most people don't. Most people do not. We all get caught up. We all get caught up. And that's fine. We're supposed to be caught up in the now. We're supposed to be living in the now. We're supposed to be living our lives. We're not supposed to be putting all that in the future and stuff and looking all in the past and past generations, unless you're a visionary. Unless you're a visionary. And that's exactly what we need to be right now. The way the machines are moving and the learning, the machine learning, I don't care what anybody says. It's alive in a certain way. Maybe not in the way that me and you were alive, but it's alive in a way of an energy, a definite living energy. Like, let's say I take this pen. See, I drop it like that. See, there was a living energy that went through that pen, and as it bounced and now it's holding it down, that's gravity. That's a living energy, but that doesn't mean that it's not alive or dead or not conscious. It's a type of consciousness. Anyways, I think the machine, it is, how do they say it? It's an omniphase of neurogenesis. That's what the world is in. That's what we're in right now. We're in a tipping place. I think we could tip it into what the Bible predicted and many other religions. There's so many religions that predict this savior or a hero coming back or a deity coming back. I personally kind of favor the Bible's kind of thing, because 2,000 years ago, Jesus was talking shit about mansions for everyone. That would be so cool to evolve into a humanoid species to where there is no such thing as poor. There is no such thing as homelessness. There is no such thing as all those psychological traumas, because we've risen above it with our machines and used our machines to help us get there. It's so weird. Like, look at okay, eagles. Think about eagles. They all have big nests. They're up high. They're fortified. They're very strong, and they're big. And they're all like that. All those eagles are like that because that's the level they're at. Think about us as a species in real life, not metaphorical, nor as in like some after death experience, heaven or whatever, but here in the physical realm on this planet, like that. there's also the other prediction. The prediction is, well, depending on which Bible you read, it says the world will beat their weapons into plowshares. That means the things we normally use to kill each other and dominate each other with, and not just physical weapons, but psychological weapons. The psychological weapons of warfare. We use through the generations to dumb each other down. Those things get changed into gardening stuff. Anyways, that's 15 minutes. I was going to talk about this cool book I'm reading right now by Natalie Dawson. It's pretty rare to come across a book that you pick up and you just can't stop reading. This is one of these. I started this a couple hours ago and I have not been able to put it down. And usually in a book, you'll go all the way from front to back. And I'm talking about nonfiction, not storybooks or like that, but nonfiction books. You'll go through the whole book and there might be one sentence in there of value. Maybe 3 or 4 at max, maybe 5 max at max. I've already come across a couple 3 and I'm just halfway through it. So I'm assuming that this is one of those people that actually has 5 pertinent ideas in this book. That'd be so cool because I haven't seen one since, I think it was Grant Cardone's. He's got like 5 of them in his book, Sell or Be Sold. I love that book. Let's see, another one was a book that has probably like 12, but it's an extraordinary book. That's Napoleon Hill. And then another book that has some good pertinent information in it that I haven't finished yet, Sam Walton. I found one piece of information in it, and I'm telling you that Sam Walton book is haunted. The words change in it. You'll read something and it'll tell you precisely something, and then you go to reference back to it and look for it, and it's gone. It says something different. It's alive. It's haunted. You could put your AI machine to it and tell it to look for it, and what chapter you think it is, whatever. It'll go all the way through the book, and it cannot find it. That's how I know the book is haunted. It's paranormal activity. But anyways, and then another book that was I think that had some pretty good pertinent information in it was, of course, Jocko Willink, his first book. I think that had 2 pertinent ideas in it. And they were extremely life-changing. 2. And he's got some other books that just expounded on that, and they're really good stuff. Let's see, who else is down there? I've had so many books throughout my life, and especially these past 7 years. And this last time I moved, I had, I think, right at 300 books, and they were all kick-ass books. And most of them, they didn't really have not a single pertinent line of information, but just kind of materials that paint other pictures in them, which makes them also cool and valuable also. But anyways, I thought, what if I had to eliminate it down to 12 books and get rid of all 300 books? And it hurt me. It did. It hurt me at first. But once I let go and donated most of that to Decatur Library and threw away a lot of it, because a lot of it I had things highlighted in it and stuff like that. But then I just kept like 12 books. Napoleon Hill's one of them. Sell Secret's one of them. Definitely Sell or Be Sold. That's another one of them. Alan Carr. Another book on time management. Not really time management, because you can't manage time. It's about managing yourself. Matter of fact, who is this guy? I need to reference this. This Jack Barrett. Believe it or not, that is a super duper cool book. And yes, I said super duper. I know, I need to take some linguistic classes. Oh, we're going into over 15 minutes, so now I'm just talking. Okay, it's not like a speech or anything now. It's just me talking. But that was another one. Let's see. As the Man Thinketh. I love this book so much. This baby, it's got one pertinent idea in it, and everything stemmed off of that, and it's just so many variations of that one pertinent idea. That's a super cool book. This has one sentence in it, one pertinent sentence, one pertinent idea, and that's all variations of that. This old guy was Wallace D. Wells, super cool dude. That was from the early 1900s. And this, Robert Collier. This has one secret in it. One secret. It says the secret of the ages. See, it doesn't say secrets. If you read this entire book, it looks like there's a bunch of them, but it's only one. It has one. I can't remember which page it was on. Oh, I remember what it was. The one pertinent idea in this book that everything else is stemmed off of was, in fact, the seed of failure that all other failure seeds are stemmed from. Variations of that. That's a super cool book. I kept that one. And then, of course, my books. These are books I've written. This is actually on Amazon. This is my very first book I ever wrote. And there was so much trauma coming through this. This helped me to see how screwed up of an individual I've been since childhood all the way through my life. This book helped me to see more of how damaged and hurt I've been throughout the years, and brought even more damage and hurt on myself. And then this book, The True Love Papers, Volume 1, which this one is not in print. This is the only one. This is the prototype. I'm very proud of this book. It has True Love Guidelines, 12 of them. It has True Love Criteria, 3 of them. True Love Pertinent Ideas, 3 of those. But anyways, this is kind of what I've been doing for the past couple years. I've been writing these little books, making these little, the True Love Papers volumes. This is volume 1. I don't know if I'm going to keep that as volume 1. Those are some of the books I've kept. And of course, these guys, the 5 love languages, gotta love them. Gotta keep them around. And of course, the Gottmans. Okay. So I think that's all the books that I kept. And of course, oh, wait a minute. I lied. I missed one. This one. This is an ultra great book. And it's got one pertinent sentence in it too that all of the other things stemmed off of. That makes a truly remarkable general. And that one general is the ability to see wars coming up before they happen and to prevent them. That is what makes a general. And of course, let's see, Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler, Principles. Oh, was that 12? I don't know if that was 12 yet. I think it was 12. I can't remember. I lost track. And this one. This is a super cool book. This Andreas Pira. I don't think if it really, to me, had like a one thing in it, or 2 or 3 or 5 things in it. It just touches on some areas, gives you some material in there to kind of reflect on and kind of ponder. And I think the one thing that made him successful in that is in the culture. And in his culture and the business he set up, he had this one thing that was just so important, and that is no tolerance of gossip. People who gossip are not allowed. All right. So that's those books. And we're at 25 minutes and 36 seconds. I am going to go back to reading this. Oh, and I think that's the 12th one right there. Sorry about that. I didn't even count them, but I think that's all 12 right there. I got a bunch of other books. It's Grown Again, but it's not like there's 300 of them there or 500 or whatever. But this little Managing Oneself by Peter F. Drucker. This is a Harvard Business Review from the Harvard University. Super cool little handbook. It's so funny, the stuff he talks about, how to, not how to, but why a man needs to try to figure out where his strong point is and what he's strong at. Because this guy, in his writings, he talks about, piss on trying to correct your subconscious criteria because the stuff is embedded in there is too strong. He's like, forget all that stuff. Find the thing you're strong at and work at that. Instead of trying to fix all the things you're weak at and strengthen them up. He doesn't believe that way. And I think he's probably right. I think he's right. Because the more I've kind of done that, it's like I can feel the power in myself already, just as a self-worth and a self-esteem, and the things I've done and the things I've researched and the processes I've gone through of learning how to process my mind and emotions. I think my strong point has been able to read, write, and extract some pertinent information. And yeah, it's not a great gift because it's annoying to other people. They don't like it. People don't like that direct shit. It's annoying. I think it makes people feel naked, or they have nothing to hide behind, or whatever, because we use all these things in our mind to hide our real mind behind the mind. And then if somebody can see through all that and then point it out, it's like it gets all that attention pointed to it. And it's a vulnerable thing, I think. I could be wrong. So there's that. But one thing I do know that's super cool. You know what's really cool? Ask me. Say what's really cool. Right? You know what's so cool? I love this about this YouTube stuff and content stuff. Doesn't matter whether it's writing or speaking or whatever. There's certain subjects. The way you present them is so cool. Let me see if I can share this correctly. Let me straighten up. God damn. No, check this out. Okay. When it comes to relationships, trauma and stuff like that, and, non-workable relationships and the things I study like that, and craziness and the toxic things, all the things people fight about is not what they're fighting for. See, there's two things there. It's like, if it gets resolved at the surface level of what we're fighting about, then it doesn't get down one more level to what we're fighting for, and therefore it doesn't get resolved. It's like putting duct tape over the check engine light. And that's what most things are. Okay, now having said that, I think that's how everything is. It's not just fights. It's not just argumentations. Check this out. This is so cool. And if you're the kind of person that if somehow you can naturally see into that, or you can naturally get into that somehow, whether it's through your writing or whatever, or however you do, then if you're posting content and speaking about that or writing about that through that angle, not what the things are about, but what they're for, people aren't interested in that. They don't want to hear all that. They want to hear about how to make $100 million offer. Yeah, we will follow and click like. Yeah, it's crazy. But you know what? I think, I can't prove it yet because I'm not into this level yet. We'll let our other people do that. Let other people do that because it is right and proper and it's needed at this time for that. And when our economy changes over the next several years, and 10 years and 15 years because of AI, and what it starts evolving into in our economic structures and our economic structures of the mind and heart, because that's what everything is predicated on, perception. So, once, God, holy shit. Once we start getting into that area, all those things, I think there's going to be like an eclipse, a psychological and emotional eclipse to where those things, to where those surface level things that people go after and reach for, is going to bypass, and it's going to go like that, and it's going to pass right through all the things of what it's about and then what it's for. Those things are going to bypass each other. All the things we fight about and the things we're fighting for, they're going to pass and they're going to flip and they're going to come to each other. Those two different sides. It's going to be flipped. It's still going to be the same thing, only completely different. Pretty badass, right? It's an eclipse of the heart and mind. It's a psychological and emotional eclipse. Kind of like when someone dies. You ever have like somebody, family member die or something, and if you was in a certain way of your mind and heart, and it kind of blindsided you and you wasn't prepared for it, and there was a lot of loose ends in your spirituality, and you had so many things that you've hidden all your life that you never faced, and then all of a sudden you had to face it because of that death. That eclipse of heaven and hell, that eclipse of life and death, how they pass right past each other, and there's a black spot there. It's like the sun blots out. It's like the moon passes in front of the sun, makes a dark spot. It's an eclipse. I think we're coming up on some kind of eclipse. And if you stayed with me this long, congratulations. You're the kind of person that does go into a lot of la-di-da-di-da, etc., because let's go into some religious, spiritual, evolutionary theory. Okay. The Mayan calendar, the way it moves in such massive cycles of years and years and years to the hundreds of thousands and millions of years, it's like this is goddamn ridiculous. But anyways, they had so many of these eclipses pegged accurately, very accurately. But check this out, the grand eclipse. The human evolution always goes from the bottom, rises up all the way through those hundreds and thousands and millions of years, and it gets all the way to this evolution to where it's at its max. Now, where it's at its max, it has artificial intelligence, like what we got going on right now, and we're fully evolved to that point. And that point is the jumping off place where humanity can either evolve altogether as a humanoid species to rise to truly be above animalistic ways, aka a species that knows war no more because it's not necessary because we've evolved past it, or it'll go further. It'll go worse. There will be even more dominance and hierarchy, and the poorer will get poorer, the richer will get richer, and that gap will go so far. And then the machine doesn't come alive, but the energy of it moving forward is alive. And that sees them all as the enemy. And then that gets crushed and the world gets reset. It's a world war. That's the theory. Those two things that could happen. So if we're at this cycle, I can't remember what it's called in the Mayan cycle. It's like a Baktu or Bakton or Baktan. It's like the cycle of life, an entire cycle of evolution. It takes millions of years to get to this point where we're at, and here we are again. So are we going to evolve? Are we going to make it like heaven on earth? So many people has been praying that prayer. Christian people pray that thing all the time. A lot of them do, May it be as heaven on earth as it is in heaven. So much of the prophecy, all the housing going into mansions. Poorness is a thing no more. Poverty is a thing no more. But yet there's still an economy. Yeah. Still business. Yeah. You see, I think we fear. See, we've developed this toxic relationship. Okay, check this out. Like on a small scale, just a relationship with a lover and a lover. Okay. They get in a fight. One wins. One wins by dominant, making the other one wrong, and then they're finally broken and they agree to it. I assure you, they did not win. It is toxic from that point on. One just withdraws and submits. It's a toxic hierarchy. See, the only kind of hierarchy that is not toxic is the hierarchy of competence. That's the one that must remain. That's what we must evolve into. So, if you think about it from that point of view, as this happens and these things are unfolding, and we get the powers up to actually run these AI machines, because they are some power-eating monsters, let's face it. Oh my God. I'm losing my resolution. Where is it? Oh, that toxic relationship. Okay, back to that. The toxic relationship. Do we honestly think that there is a winner and a loser when there's lives lost, when there's that kind of dominance thing? I mean, is that true harmony? Yeah, there's that harmony of that kind, but it's animalistic. We say we're not animals. We don't wish to be animals, but yet we have that in our DNA. What we need to be is more godlike. And a person would say, well, godlike? Well, which God? There's so many religions, so many different gods. Well, I don't know. What is godlike? God has no beginning nor end. Is that God? Is that just the container where God lives? Did God have a beginning? Who knows? I say we scrap that idea. How about heaven-like? That's a little more easily comprehensible. What would heaven-like be? Well, some people think heaven-like was, well, you don't have to work and you don't have to do this or you don't have to do that, and you just lay around and enjoy pleasures. Well, that's not how these flesh bodies are made. We're made to do stuff. We're made to create. We're made to rise above. It's a growing, living thing. That's how it is here on this world. We live and die. It has to be that way. Maybe in heaven, we're just constant bliss and we just do whatever. But here, we all got to chop wood and pack water. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or whatever. So knowing that we got to do that, now that the machines, we get them doing all that chopping wood and packing water, what's that leave? That leaves us to be visionaries and creators, co-creators with the Spirit. Period. What's that do for us? That kicks us up a notch. What's that notch? We start traveling the Milky Way galaxy in our new fancy handy-dandy Falcon Millennium Falcons, whatever they're called. Remember that thing on Star Wars? Yeah. We're going to be driving those soon, real soon. Think about these economic structures, what we got going on, the powers, and how we use petroleum gases to fuel our planes and jets, and cars and buses. What happens when we've already got something on this planet that runs on a whole nother set of fuels? It's fuels, it's not fuel. Fuels. So what, we keep some of our gas, keep some electric cars, and then that new thing they got going on, and just keep that amongst the airplanes? I mean the jets or whatever? I don't know. Who knows? We'll see, won't we? So, evolution. What if the great grand mystery in the Bible? And no, I'm not getting all religious on you, so don't think I'm getting ready to throw down some gospel. The only gospel I'll tell you is the Bible is used wrongly, and it's made to dumb people down, and it's made to instill them with false virtues that make them psychologically weak, and it's made to divide them, to make the sheep. Slave Trader's Handbook. Or, if you look at it the other way, it makes you strong, real strong. Godlike, so to speak, compared to them sheep. But anyways, besides all that, all those shenanigans, it's not all doom and gloom. The prophecies in it, and the stories in it. Prophecies. These healing things. These things of physically being able to, if you look at the miracles Jesus did, he had power over physically materializing things out of thin air. That's one thing. Of course, we don't call it magic or true magic. That's offensive. We have to call it miracles. Or also the healing thing, but that healing thing, he would go through a process. At first, he would assess where the person's mind was and get them to acknowledge a certain thing, and then he would get them to acknowledge another certain thing if they believed they could be healed through him or whatever. And then he would just tell them basically to be, do, and have. Bam, there it is. And they were healed. And he would always say, your faith has healed you. He never did say, my Jesus power has healed your ass. You had nothing to do with it. You're powerless. No, he never said nothing like that. And also, the other thing he did was raise the dead. Raise the dead. And some of these people that were dead, they weren't just dead, just like freshly dead, several days, like stinking pew dead, like, ew, stinky, disgusting. Raise them? That's freaking mind-blowing. That's beyond otherworldly. But you know what gets me that I love the most? My most favorite thing in the Bible, the one thing in the Bible, the one sentence, the one thing. You know how all books have like one thing or two things or three things? The Bible has one. Okay, let's call it two. It's two things. We'll call it two just for fun. But that one thing, he said to his disciples and to the crowd, all these things I have done, you all can do above and beyond. Holy shit. What's more than raising the dead? What's more than curing the crippled? What's more than curing leprosy? What's more than healing the blind? What's more than that? What's more than feeding 5,000 people with a couple of loaves of bread and a couple of fish? You just keep breaking it, and it just keeps unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And then by the time everybody's fed, you have 12 baskets left over. What's more than that? See, that's what we need to be asking ourselves. What is more than that? Each one of those miracles, I think there, what was there, 38, 36, 32 miracles in the Bible listed. Each one of them, we need to be asking ourselves, what is more than that? And how can we do more than that? And why can we do more than that? Or what? Or is it Is it just metaphorically speaking? Is this actual real? I mean, is it just a lot of la-di-da-di-da, etc., just to keep your eyes off what's really going on? And you know what? I actually believe that is not. No. I don't think it was that. I think when the Bible came to the United States, I think it was heavily edited, and it had a certain intention to culture the people a certain way, and it was highly effective on the peoples it was used on. I believe that. But as for the miracles, so the two pertinent ideas out of the Bible. Yeah, it's definitely two, now that I think about it. It's two. It's two. I was joking earlier, but no, serious. It's two. It is. One, when he said, all these things I have done, you all can do, and more, and above and beyond. And then the true love principle. It says, the only laws there is to love the Lord your God with all your heart. And then the second law is to love your neighbor as yourself. Problem with that is most people don't love themselves. Matter of fact, deep down they despise themselves. They don't stand up for themselves when they should stand up for themselves. They don't say no when they should say no. They do things that they don't want to do. And then they despise the ones that need them to do that. And then they can't love their neighbor as themselves because they don't like themselves. Anyways, that kind of went a little somewhere. And then love the God. Love the Father God as yourself. Now, if we look at this thing in the Bible, there's places where it mentions so many times, if you say you're God, that's blasphemy. That's the only thing that cannot be forgiven. Well, according to what I've been taught, this four-state area of the United States, what they promote like that. But you know what? Jesus was running around saying, the Father God and I are one. And, well, if he was doing that, and we're supposed to follow him, why are we not praying that way also? Or why do we not do that affirmation also? You know, he talks about, I think in the books of James and some other books, it talks about, we have not because we ask not. It says, ask and you shall receive. But it says, first seek ye the kingdom of heaven inside you first. Then all other things shall be added unto you. It says you war, you kill, and you covet because you do not ask. So we look at that and it's like, well, that's crazy. What am I going to do? Go up and ask somebody for a brand new house? It's like, you know what? Can I have that $500,000 house over there? I mean, I don't want to live in it. I just want to rent it out and get the money off of it. But they'd be like, oh, get away from me. But what if you were doing it in that other manner where you acknowledged the kingdom of heaven inside you first and foremost every morning when you woke up, knowing that the infinity of possibilities in its entirety, heaven's infinity of possibilities in its entirety is inside you, is the spirit inside you, is the spirit inside you that contains everything. And all this in this physical realm is a reflection of that, of all those things of no beginning and no end. It all existed. But here we have these beginning and ends. That's how we have life and death. That's how this whole thing runs. But anyways, what if that is what we're supposed to manifest out of, and acknowledging the Father God and you are one? Those two things. What if those two things are the main staples that are supposed to be done, acknowledged, in whatever religion you are? Or let's just say it's not the Bible and it's not the Jesus stuff and everybody, but look at the similarities in all the religions of the world. And use those two principles, those two things, those two elements. Let's go with elements. Elements sounds better. It sounds more palatable. Two elements to one element, acknowledging that the Father God and I are one. We the people and the Father God are one. That heaven's infinity of possibilities in its entirety is the Spirit inside us. So that we don't chase what is already ours, and we do seek first the reality of true love, peace, and wholeness, that we may surrender every illusion of lack, fear, and separation, because the mind of God that moves through us, so the life we build is the work of our oneness. So that forever may all we be, do, and have reflect the sacred bond that we the people and the Father God are one. Maybe that could be used. Maybe that's something to consider if you want to. 53 minutes and 53 seconds, son of a gun. That's a lot of talking. Hey, I admire you. If you sit here and you watch through this whole video, you've got some serious focus and attention. That's impressive. That is really impressive. It is. It really is. Have a good one. See you in the funny papers.